wonder people are angry. Elites, they got to work. They flooded Westminster with lobbyists. They made sure that Farage was on every TV programme going. Well, I call bullshit.
Is Zack Polanski just a left-wing Nigel Farage? And if he is that a good thing or a bad thing? One thing that both men seem to have in common is a very direct, sometimes brutally honest style of communication.
You're calling me a fascist. Are you going to extend that courtesy?
Oh, you absolutely are a fascist.
But the parallels between these men run deeper than just a communication style. As weird as it sounds, Zack Polanski's politics are a kind of mirror image of Nigel Farage's politics. Both of these men are populists. Now, populism is perhaps the most misunderstood term in all of politics. People often assume that populism means just implementing policies that are popular, but in fact, populism and popular share a root in the Latin word populus, meaning the people. So populism is a kind of politics that claims to represent the vast majority of people against elites. In the case of Farage, those elites are cultural elites, people who live in big cities, who are sophisticated and have a global outlook, but don't care about the struggles of the working man. People like Zack Polanski. In Polanski's case, the elites we should be fighting are rich, powerful people who keep the 99% in place using things like propaganda and fear-mongering. People like Nigel Farage. A common criticism of populism, whether it comes from the left or from the right, is that it offers overly simplistic solutions to complex problems, because often the populist solution is to just get rid of the 1% who are causing all the problems, whether those are cultural or economic elites. So in the case of Farage, he claims that we can restore the strength of the NHS just by stopping the boats. In the case of Polanski, the same problems can be solved just by increasing taxes on the super wealthy. Whereas centrists tend to say, well, the problem's a bit more complicated than that, which may be true, but also may not be the kind of message that the electorate wants to hear. Another thing that populists have in common is a tendency to want to solve problems by dismantling institutions. In the case of Farage, this means things like leaving the European Union or leaving the ECHR. In the case of Polanski, it might mean dismantling NATO or even dismantling the United Kingdom itself as a way of addressing problems. The problem with dismantling institutions is that often institutions are where we deal with incredibly complex problems by putting experts in charge. But if you dismantle institutions, you can also dismantle the expertise that deal with some of our most complex problems. And we've seen this with Brexit. All the unforeseen consequences, like the loss of the Dublin Agreement, that meant that small boat crossings actually went up instead of down after Brexit, because the likes of Farage had not contended with the results of dismantling those complex institutions. What do I think? I think in some ways Polanski is a left-wing Nigel Farage, but I'm still making up my mind about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. The problem